What's going on, guys? I'm Johnny Jones, and this is Military Transition Tips. Today, I have Daniel Fuentes. He's a senior systems administrator, 21 years old, and he's currently doing very well for himself, making over six figures. And I have him here today to talk about everything that he's learned on his journey to share that with you. So, Daniel, tell me, how'd you get here? How'd you get to this position you're in?
How did I get to this position? The journey is long, I would say. So I pretty much started IT IT as kind of like a field service tech internship through a program that I utilized for some school credits and stuff when I was in high school. I was 15 at the time. Restart.
So, how did you, from let's say 18-year-old kid, right, to 21 now, 3 years? Tell me the journey you've had, unless it was before that,
Yeah,
15.
before that,
So,
yeah.
how'd you start?
15 years old, I was playing Minecraft, and talking smack with some kids, and next thing you know, my internet was offline from a DOS attack, and I was like, what in the world is that? So after some digging and stuff, I really kind of found out about the whole cybersecurity and penetration testing and IT stuff. So, there's obviously environments you can set up. So I set up an environment and started poking around. I was like 14, utilizing a VMware workstation and just doing what I could with the tools that I had. So from there, I kind of had some hands-on early on. 15 years old, there was a program offered through the high school I was going to, and it was to kind of be an intern and get credits for high school so you could graduate early. So I did that course, and then from there, turned 18, graduated, and I thought to myself, what do I want to do next with my life? One, I didn't want to go to college, which a lot of people don't want to go to college, right? A lot of people, they do high school and they're like, this isn't for me, and they go off to do a trade or something like that. So for me, I kind of reviewed my options and chose the Air Force Reserves.
Oh, okay.
And I think the primary reason was because my dad told me to. And I just knew that they were kind of a tech conglomerate per se, in a sense of the defense world. So after joining, did my ASVAB and got cyber systems operations as my AFSC, MOS for people that don't know AFSC. But from there I did training, got a lot of hands-on experience. From what I had already known, and then taking that into the defense side, and just not to get super granular. But from there, that's where my career really took off, was the experience I got in the Air Force. Obviously, we know the defense side is a big, just like pot of money. So yeah. I definitely got my hands in that. And from the reserves, after that, I worked for a company, Intelligent Waves, very great company. And they gave me a very awesome opportunity to pretty much do what I do best, which was research, integration, and I guess using my brain power to as much as I could. With COVID, a lot of stuff happened and transitioned into the senior position that I'm in now. I won't say the company, but now actually moving to another company to do systems engineering, and that's kind of where I'm at. So just a lot of jumping. One person in my life that I really kind of look up to is a buddy of mine, David Gibeon. Very smart kid, really successful at a young age as well. So I kind of looked up to him because we had the same kind of ideas in a way. And he told me, he was like, if you want to keep making more and you want to keep progressing, just jump every 2 years. And hey, maybe it's 2 to 4, 2 to 5. I'm sure it's different for everybody. But I was like, okay. So I just jump in, and it's worked for me so far. Not that I would recommend it if you have tenure somewhere for progression and career progression. Stay, but yeah, so that's how I ended up where I'm at now. Kind of just looking into the future and not necessarily not looking back, but just continuing on that focus of the future, I should say. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, man. So it's your turn, though.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Let's do this here.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for you guys, Daniel here actually was my replacement when I left current company. You know, I'm a 30-year-old man, and he replaced me as a 21-year-old. So this leads me to my next question: how do you deal with the variation in your ages with some of your coworkers or your peers?
Yeah, it's a challenge. There's a lot of different aspects to it. You know, there's just, you know, in hindsight, there's the, well, I'm older than you, I know more than you, right, kind of thing. And although sometimes that is true, the word I like to use is they're older, so they're wiser, right? They know more. They've had more time on this earth to find things that I haven't had the opportunity to. And you know, it's so there's that whole kind of side of having to deal with that. I don't want to say arrogancy. I feel like that's a bit extreme, but that stigma of, oh, well, you're young, you don't really know too much, and not to kind of beat that dead horse, but you know, to move into another side of it. I think really what has helped me is the fact that I do know what I'm talking about a majority of the time, right? I mean, we all like to say all the time, but a lot of the time, I use what I've got up here and everything that I've learned, and using that as my backbone. So when people look at me and they say, you know, like you said, like, you know, so young, and how do you deal with your peers being significantly older than you, or, you know, whatever it may be, and it's just more like, I kind of just don't think about it. I've been on a fast track, you know, and up here I've been on this kind of fast track with progressing not only my career, but, you know, in the Air Force we have, what is it? It's like, it was BMT, and in boot camp they teach you about like the pillars of life. And there's your social pillar, your physical pillar, and your spiritual, and then maybe career, or maybe that's it. But, you know, so I've always tried to balance those, and in doing that, I've been able to overcome that obstacle of that age difference. And I honestly don't even really think about it. And I think people maybe have a little bit more respect for me because I've done my homework. So that's something that I always tell people: do your homework. You know, at work, you know, people ask you questions, and if you don't know the answers, yeah, you're gonna look dumb, you know. So hey, try to, you know, do your best to know those answers that the people will ask you, because you're in the spotlight, you know. At least I feel like sometimes I am.
You're what?
No, I feel like I'm in the spotlight. Yeah, in different situations, and I think that's only helped me, though. You know, being under that, in that corner, being pressed to have to know how to pretty much take control of the situation.
So, say someone is in your situation. Do you have an example of a time where you had a conflict that, even if it was, you know, overtly or not, or subtly, about your age, how did you deal with that you know, that issue, that conflict?
Obstacle? Man, trying to think about something that's happened in regard to that. You know, quite honestly, I would say it happens generally. A lot of people see that senior title, or they are twice my age in the same position, and if anything, you know, or not if anything, but, you know, having the same salary. The company that I was working at, we worked with a lot of different companies. I mean, probably, or I won't name all of them, or any of them for that matter, but I was kind of technically the lead, the SME of this project. So they were trying to do an implementation. I was the only one who was certified to do the implementation of that technology. Okay. And that company took a look at my resume, you know, so we could work for them. They said, okay, well, we want to see who you're sending over. We want to vet them too. And they looked at my resume, they took one look, and they were like, no way.
Why?
I think it was maybe at the time, maybe a little bit of arrogance on my end. Yeah, just talking to them a little bit and trying to really prove to them, and I've learned from that. But I think the arrogance in mixture with the age gap and maybe the experience too. And then, this is a whole nother subject, but at no degree. So, I think that whole kind of little, not trifecta, but that just, slew of things.
Well, that really adds to how impressive your success has been, because you've gotten so far without, without a degree, without that college education that everybody, lards over. That actually makes it much more impressive that you've gotten so far in your career so early without that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And it's been hard. I would say it's been a hard, not. It hasn't been hard. It's been a challenge, right? But I love challenges, so why not?
So, so what advice do you have for some people? Let's say you started 15. So let's say 15 to 18-year-olds getting into systems administration or systems engineering. Like, what's some advice that you have for them?
Well, not even necessarily for engineering or sysadmin stuff. When I was 15, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really didn't, and I just kind of had an interest for just computers and video games and building computers and just stuff like that in general. So as pursuing that, I would say study. Do your homework. It sucks. It really does. At least for me, it did. Being 15, you have a lot more to worry about than just studying IT.
But study what though? What's some specifics that you think they should study?
So specifically, I would say Linux. Linux is great. No complaints there. And then I would say Windows. Server 08, 12. R2, 16, 19.
08, really?
Yeah, whatever it may be, man. Whatever it may be, try to have in defense, yeah, 08. But, I think just kind of having an understanding of, maybe legacy and just that whole rigmarole of how far things have come technology-wise, right? And just becoming introduced to more of an enterprise level. Because anybody can essentially look up how to write a PowerShell script or a batch or how to script something in Bash, but it's not going to really get you anywhere unless you have that fundamental understanding of an enterprise. I guess enterprise understanding. Everything now is enterprise. Everything, whether it's on cloud, it's still considered enterprise. Or whether it's a huge data center that's running a bunch of dependencies. So I would say, just server technology is a good start.
Okay.
And get into scripting and programming early, because I did. I got kicked out of my programming class in high school.
Why?
For some dumb scripts I wrote. Just playing around too much, but nothing crazy. Just making the teacher mad for sure.
What about certifications?
Certifications. I would definitely say the trifecta, and if you don't know what the trifecta is, it's A+, NAT+, and SEC+. Anybody who's introduced into the IT world, I should say, I would say those give you a great fundamental understanding of what you should expect, right? Now, should is the key word, because there's a lot of different things that you come across in this industry. But for me, I did take, which now that I think about it, was more fundamental, was a Cisco course called ITE, so information technology. Essentials. Information technology essentials, and so the internship that I did had me take that ITE course in conjunction. So to do that internship, I had to take that course, and I had to keep passing in order to stay in that program. So it kind of pushed me to, and it's very, very basic stuff like voltage and what is RAM or memory, what is a hard drive, that's kind of stuff. But for someone who doesn't know any of it, that's I would say a good place to get your foot in the door per se.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know certifications are like huge. They're huge in our industry. There's an argument between certifications and and degrees that we won't get into today.
Yeah. We could go all day.
We
for
can go
sure.
all day on that.
Yep.
So what would you have done differently in your career so far?
One specific thing I would say. So I've been in the field. I've got 6 years experience. I'm right around that area, 6 years, and I wish I would have gotten certifications sooner. Even though I got them fast and I got them very soon, I wish I would have utilized, like, for example, the year before, 2019. Yeah, 2019. I just kind of sat back comfortably, had my Sec Plus and a few other ones, and didn't utilize any tuition assistance, which a lot of people don't know, or I guess they're making, companies are making people more aware, but you can use your tuition assistance to pay for boot camps and just certification costs. And I wish I would have known that, but it's also complacency, of just being young and just being not necessarily inexperienced within the industry, but more just being a teenager or being, that kid.
Young 20-year-old,
just got out of high school or whatever it is. But I think back upon it, and COVID with COVID last year, I did get a decent amount of certs during that period. But in my head, I'm like, man, I could have got more. So that's one thing that I wish I would have done a little bit better. Kind of stayed even more focused than I am now. But it's something that I plan to do for this year and next year. I've already got some, things on the way. Currently working on my CEH.
Okay, I'm gonna check you, and then I'm gonna ask you a question. So tell me what role the Air Force Reserves played in some of your experiences.
Oh, a lot. Yeah. Let me play this really quick because I'm in a tough spot. So I would say that it was really, I don't even want to say, I feel like saying stepping stone is, well, first, a little disrespectful, right? But secondary, I feel like it was that push that I needed or wanted or was looking for in my career. With that, being able to say, well, first of all, that I serve my country is something that I'm proud of, right? It's a lot of people that do serve, it's something that they want to do, right? That they're not forced to do, but they want to do. And for me, it was something I wanted to do. So I think on a mental note, that kind of fulfilled maybe that purpose, that wanting a purpose, for something, as everybody says, something bigger than them, right? But now, speaking on a more technical sense, being able to put that on the resume, Air Reserves was vital, I think. Kind of added a prestige touch to what I had and solidified that position in my career. I did my AIT, or we say technical school, and then with that I did additional training that was voluntary, and I was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and did a bunch of really cool stuff, touched a lot of really cool, kind of crazy technology, and that introduced me to the federal side of IT, right? Because there's Microsoft and Amazon and all these big conglomerates, but I wasn't really aware of the magnitude of defense until really getting in it with the Air Force. And I guess all the counterparts, everything that it takes to get to that kind of level, that I should say that controlled level, because there's that compliance. That's the biggest thing with government, is compliance. But with that, you learn a lot of things about technology because you have to. And so I would say that the Air Force played a huge role with that. Getting that very reputable IT job, and having those credentials that comes with that job, and the experience that I gained from it, and just kind of, having an understanding of like I said, the federal side. So I would say it was a huge part. And now I work, all on the federal side, and I love it. Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any intent in going to the corporate side at all?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when if the opportunity arises, as of right now, I would more so say that I'm in a spot where I'm not focused, and it's a privilege to say this, but I'm not focused on the monetary value, or I guess the monetary reward that comes from it. I'm willing to get into things that are going to expand my knowledge, and I feel like just that saying that sentence alone is just a privilege, because not a lot of people can say that, right? A lot of people will take jobs because it's something they have to do. They have to put that food on the table and the roof over their family's head. So I feel that I've had an advantage to come to a point where I'm worried about the fundamentals of my intellect, right? And which maybe has allowed me to give more of a positive influence and mindset to things, right? Because I'm not so boggled by, am I going to make my bills, or when am I going to eat next, things like that. So I can stay more focused and open to things and opportunities. So not to get off too much on a tangent, but going corporate side, I do it. Kind of for myself, I've always said, I kind of want to transition, or not kind of, but I do want to transition eventually my career. I have a short term and a mid term and a long term, and I think my mid right now is by 25, so in about 3.5 years, to kind of go into real estate.
Real estate?
Yeah, something that I've always wanted to do, either real estate or marketing. I have some ideas here and there, but you and I spoke a few weeks back, and I always said, I don't really feel like my career is fully solidified. I have not met that end goal in my opinion, in my sight. So
something that fulfills you.
Something that fulfills me within my technical experience, right? I've done all these different things and worked on so many different systems, but as of right now, I'm just looking for that trophy.
Yeah.
And I think we all are.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, to an extent, we're all looking for that thing we can hold and be proud of.
Right, exactly.
I did this,
Yeah. And I would say that I am definitely proud of how far I've come, how quick and how efficient and eloquent I've done it, right? Not to sound too arrogant.
Not to sound too arrogant.
I think that's one thing that we don't necessarily take account for is, I think that we lack the ability to give ourselves credit, because it's sort of taboo in our society, but I've come to find out, and maybe it's just being Leo or whatever it may be, I've come to find out.
You got the hair for it.
I've come to find out that it's okay to pat yourself on the back. And I sometimes I forget to do it, and sometimes I don't, but I feel like that in itself, and just, it kind of feels like I've done my part and my duty within, whether it's Air Force, serving my country, serving the company that I'm working for, or whatever it may be. I feel that that's important.
So you mentioned something about not being able to pat ourselves on the back, right? So I'm not sure if you watched it, but I made a couple of videos back about imposter syndrome. Is that something that you feel with your situation?
Could you elaborate a little bit?
So the imposter syndrome is kind of like feeling like you don't deserve to be where you are for various amount of reasons. Whether it's you feel like you're too young, or you feel like you're inexperienced, or you feel like you're making too much money. There's a lot of different definitions for imposter syndrome, or reasons to feel that way. Do you feel like that kind of fits into that statement you made a little bit earlier?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think it's natural. You know, I think it's just natural to maybe feel insecure about certain things. Yeah, I always think of, man, maybe I am too young, maybe I am making too much, but then I go back to my fundamentals, right? My primitive brain, and I realize that, well, you know, I've come this far because of the things that I've learned, and I, you know, I also would give credit to my parents and just, you know, my prior experiences, not even necessarily my parents. So imposter syndrome is very real, and it's a thing that happens to everybody. But I think that having that conscious trait of patting yourself on the back, giving yourself credit when due and where due, is important to kind of circumvent that insecurity and that syndrome.
Yeah, and if you pat yourself on the back, right, you're not looking for anyone else to do that for you.
Exactly.
Because you can do it yourself.
Exactly.
Self-servicing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You put it very, very well. You know, I think a lot of people care about what others think, and being young, being a professional in my industry, being experienced, I think that I've had to come to this understanding that people are just going to hate. You know, people are going to want what you want, good or bad, and it's just something that exists. It's there. It's going to be there all the time. And I wouldn't necessarily say you have to learn to ignore it, but you have to learn how to overcome that entity, because, you know, at the end of the day, I think that's kind of what defines us, is how other people see us. That's how we're gonna see ourselves. You know, I don't think everybody looks at themselves in a retrospective manner. Now they should, but in a perfect world, right?
Well, thanks, Daniel, for coming and talk with us, man. I really appreciate it. Do you have any last minute advice before we let you go?
No, I mean, nothing too crazy. I would say for those people watching, you know, some big things I would say is stay focused. You know, we all hear it, but I'll say it again, stay focused. And within IT, one of the biggest things is your certificates. You want to get a degree, go ahead. I didn't, you know, and I still got to where I was. Now, I'm not saying don't go to school. Go to school if you can and if you want to. But the biggest things is certificates. And try to get a Cisco cert too. I think people don't give it the credit that it should have. Even though it's a prestigious cert, you know, get a Cisco cert. You know, go ahead, get your trifecta, get a Cisco cert, and you'll definitely start to see that evolution within technology, and you'll have a better understanding.
So if you guys really want like what I'm doing here and you like these interviews, please like, subscribe, so I can keep going on and doing more of these videos. If you like it and you want to see anyone else or any other topics, please leave it in the comments down below. Until next time, guys. Peace.
I like he mentioned that the people want to do the panel. I think that's pretty cool. You know, just got like a lot of perspectives and stuff. Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah. You know, to see the diversity of like people, because like, you know, Air Force or Marines, I think like
from like reserve and active
and all that. It's one of the most diverse workplaces I've been in. I think that it's becoming more diverse, and it should stay that way. So, like, I feel like when people see this diversity, you know, within all the branches, I think that's important.
What's going on, guys? I'm Johnny Jones, and this is Military Transition Tips. Today, I have with me Daniel Fuentes. He's a self-made.
Holy crap! Let me write down the cue card.
It was good.
That was good.
I felt like we were just cruising through it.
Yeah.
And then we hit our like point where we were like cruising. You seemed very comfortable at a certain point. We were just kind of going. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome watching you.
It's hard to forget the cameras aren't there.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention. You know what's hard for me? That light right there,
Yeah, mine too. I just look up at it and I'm like, oh.
blazing right in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably harder than the camera. I can't even see the camera.
Well, I have to jump on it or over. I forget.
This isn't checkers, man. You gotta jump on.
Okay. All right. Just ask it.